Morning. We are on day 22 of Confessions for the Narrow Road. It is, I choose to forgive and forget. I choose to listen to the symphonies of heaven to calm my mind while I breathe. I choose to stand firm in the Lord. I choose to be a sign for Jesus Christ and leave the interpretation to others. I choose to remember God's faithfulness when experiences with others trigger memories of the past. And I choose in that moment to select the good things, the examples of God's faithfulness in every hardship. I choose to remember the goodness and faithfulness of God in my life and forget the rest. And in those moments when an experience triggers a memory I have chosen to forget, I choose to release those involved and speak a blessing over all. In speaking that blessing, I trust that God will send the blessing where it belongs, and all will be well. I choose to rejoice and remember the joy of the Lord that God has given me. Scriptures to meditate on: Psalm 100, Ephesians 6:10-18, and Genesis 50:20. Now, in this one, where I'm saying I choose to forgive and forget, this is what I'm choosing. However, sometimes it takes time to forget. And maybe you're forgetting, by forgetting, you're not saying the lesson was never there. The lesson is always there. And if you take the lesson from from that experience, it's easier to forget it and move on. So I just wanted to add that before I kind of talk about the confessions. Listening to the symphonies of heaven to calm my mind. For me, I found that worship music helped me to calm my mind when things were difficult for me, when it felt like my mind was racing and I couldn't catch up. Worship music always seemed to help me, and I would put worship music together and just sing to it, and that always helped to heal me, honestly. But it's while I breathe, so taking those moments of to be calm and to take a deep breath and remember that God is with me. This is the breath of the Holy Spirit is inside of me. So I can make it no matter what's going on in my life, no matter how difficult it is. I take that breath in and out. Remember, God is with me. He's inside me. He's never left me. I choose to stand firm in the Lord. And speaking of that, that's kind of really, if you can remember that, God is with me. He's never left me. He says he'll never leave me or forsake me. I can stand strong on those things. I can stand up under those things and know that I'm never alone. And if you can remember that you're never alone, things will be easier to face. They're easier to face when you're not alone. And God will give you people who will walk with you through your journey. So then you have someone else to kind of share about God's faithfulness, to share the challenge, the burden, because we are supposed to bear each other's burdens in something. So there's that to remember. So I choose to remember God's faithfulness when experiences trigger memories of the past. So just as something comes up that may be difficult, you say, God, I know that this is hard, but you've been faithful here. You've taken care of me in this. You've taught me this. And I can hold on to those things in my day. And doing that will help you to become more at peace. And here I'm saying, in those moments when experience triggers memory I've chosen to forget, I choose to release those involved. And that's really important, because if it's coming up again, if you feel like you've dealt with something and it's coming up again, it may be that you've dealt with it on one level, but maybe there's a deeper level that that you have to look at. And if that's the case, you pray about it and you ask God to help you to deal with it, help you to release that person and to bless that person. And it's a personal thing. You don't necessarily have to go directly to that person and say, I forgive you. You can do that in and of yourself and ask God to bless them, and that's how you move on. Granted, if you're able to make amends with a person personally, and you feel like that's the way God's leading you to do it, then do it, you know. But the other person is not necessary in order for you to have your freedom and that breakthrough. So you can speak a blessing and trust that God will send the blessing where it goes, where it belongs, and all will be well. And the last one, I choose to rejoice and remember the joy of the Lord that God has given me. So to rejoice is to, I look at to rejoice as to sing, to worship. And our worship is very powerful. I like to remember this, that when the enemy fell from heaven, he was the worship angel. And when he fell, that worship still had to come from someplace. And I feel like God has given us the ability to worship him, and we replace the devil. So when we worship, it reaches heaven, and God is blessed by that. And in that we receive joy, and that joy of the Lord gives you strength. The joy of the Lord is your strength. So remember that, and remember that the power that you have within you to worship and to change things in your life and in the lives of others that God may use you to. So that's it for day 22. This is a shorter one today. That's good. Keeping it short because some of them are kind of long, and I appreciate your patience with that. But that's it for today. So have a great day.